Underground dialogue. We gon' tell the truth. We ain't scared like a lot of y'all. Matters who they are. Do we bow? No, not at all. Dropping bombs on this wicked world, so it gotta fall. Underground dialogue. We gon' tell the truth. We ain't scared like a lot of y'all. Matters who they are. Do we bow? No, not at all. Dropping bombs on this wicked world, so it gotta fall. From the industry to the Oval Office, we expose the darkest motives of them all and disclose what the protocol is. Thinking and moving logical, stopping every maneuver possible, and apologizing for truth is not optional. We gon' help you with what you go through, reshape and mold you, and sweep over them weak lies they told you. If you living with no clue, we gon' deprogram the old you, and you get to keep your soul true.
What up, man? It's your big brother K-Reno.
It's your boy Keith Stone.
Y'all are tuned in again to another episode of the Underground Dialogue Podcast, where the name speaks for itself. And tonight, we have a brother who has been working tirelessly in our community, fusing community work with hip hop and trying to reach our youth and make that impact to implement change within our mindsets, within our youth mindsets, man. He has a program that he's been doing for almost 20 years called the Hip Hop Detox. And we're going to let him tell us all about it, and not only the history of it, but what he has planned going forward with that movement, that great movement. Our brother, Enoch Muhammad, how you feeling, family member?
Hey, man, I'm here with you all, man. Yes, so it's a blessing.
Man, the blessing and pleasure is all ours. And he got this guy sitting here with him, man. The one and only Muhammad 2G is back, man.
Don't you go nowhere.
He didn't go nowhere. He came back. Big brother, give us some history on the Hip Hop Detox. What sparked in your mind to initiate this movement, when it was, and you got the floor.
Well, I'll say this, I'm a co-founder of Hip Hop Detox. Keisha Wells, she is the other founding member of Hip Hop Detox. And, we have quite a few others who have supported us, and so we acknowledge their input and their support. So it's not a one or two person, show. However, those that were critical in making it happen is myself and sister Keisha Wells, who we're both married. We've been married for 24 years. So Allah willing, we'll have 25 coming up. 25 years of marriage. But we were blessed to birth Hip Hop Detox out of a need that we both saw, because we both were in Chicago public school system. And so my background is music and music business. Ironically enough, even though I'm 6 foot plus, I started off as a hip hop dancer. And then went into MCing, seeing my brothers MC. And then, once I joined the Nation of Islam at the age of 19, I began seeing that, wow, we can use hip hop in a way to help the teachers and help the minister. And then the minister put the word out that, no, if you are a performer, you are an artist, I want you to keep on doing it. So at that time, he advised us to help the brother who was in front at that time, which was Prince Akeem. And so Prince Akeem, who was signed to Chicago Tip Records, he was one of the brothers who was already doing stuff with Chuck D and Public Enemy, and he was already with Griff. He was already with Ice Cube. He was already with, back then the Brat name wasn't the Brat, it was Shani. And so he was already doing those things. So, so it's like all that was part of my upbringing in terms of hip hop. I started off in high school, graduated from high school, and then at 19, I joined the Nation. And so once I came into the Nation, I put music down for a minute because I'm just studying. All I wanted to do was study, because I felt so ignorant to the things that I'm being taught. And Message to the Black Man was the book that shut me up. Because once I picked that book up, that was the first and only time, I think, where a book had me so locked in. I'm reading it in the bathroom. I'm taking it with me,
Don't let nobody borrow it.
Hey, man, I'm reading this book, man, and I thank my sister's father, may the Almighty be pleased with him, because he transitioned, but at 19, he put that book in my hand. And when he put that book in my hand, that was transformative. That just changed my life, because I had never read or been engaged in that way where it was just holistically you telling me that everything I was believing was a lie. Or I was so misinformed about it, so it made me change up my raps. I couldn't rap about just shaking my butt, big booties. I'm like, no, I got more to talk about now. So that journey is really what led to Hip Hop Detox coming into existence, because every environment I went in, my mindset was, how can we use what we do artistically to help our people? So when I was down in college, I went to a school in Illinois, Southern Illinois University in Carbondale. And I call it unaffectionately Carbon Hell.
Oh man,
Unaffectionately.
right.
We were only probably 30 minutes away from a city called Anna, which is known as a sundown town, and it stands for Ain't No Niggas Allowed.
Wow.
A hell of an acronym right there.
Yeah. And everybody knows, even to this very day, when you go in that area, you go over that direction, you better be out by 5, 6, because they get it in. They got the Confederate flags and all of that. They let you know, hey, you're in Anna, right? So you got to be up out of here by a certain time.
Wow, that's surprising up that high up. We used to the sundown towns and all that down there, but I guess the devil gonna devil wherever you at.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you something. People don't understand. In Chicago, there are certain parts of the city to this very day that you don't rotate in. Right. I don't give a damn if you from O Block, you from Lamb Rock, whatever little spot that you think you from, you ain't going over there. Right. Because them people don't care what you call yourself. Right. They see this. Right. And then when you leave Chicago, it's like being down south, because you got different parts of Illinois that is like being in Alabama. So people don't know that slavery was still going on up north. Right. It's just that there were certain pockets that, you could say this is up north and you free. But there's a lot of pockets you wouldn't be free.
They say today Chicago's still one of the most segregated towns.
It is. It is. It's very much still segregated. And the unfortunate reality is that we eyeball each other as adversaries, and we don't understand that, look, there's a reason why you can get a damn switch today or an adapter where you can take something that would shoot 10, 15 times, 16 times. Now you can shoot 100. Right. Yeah. You can shoot 50. Right. So that means that the same manufacturers that manufacture the bullet that has that serial number, the same gun manufacturers that back then we had AK-47s, street sweepers, Uzis. Well, that manufacturer allowed a certain percentage of those weapons to come into our hands, whether it was a government official, agency, whoever the middleman was, they got it to us on the street. Well, now they say, well, we ain't killing, they're not killing each other fast enough. Yeah. So let's get these type of adapters so even a 12-year-old can squeeze, 11-year-old can squeeze, and you just having quote unquote all these mass shootings as they popularize mass shootings. But you didn't put the ability for that to happen in their hands. So they don't have to have an AK-47. They can have a regular gun, get an adapter, and now you can shoot 30 times. You can shoot 50 times.
Or you can do what they call a 3D printer. And they had the whole damn layout online where you can just print you out your own. It's called a ghost gun. Yep. You can print out your own gun with all the accessories and everything. Pop it in there.
Yes, sir.
Good to rock.
3D print you, and you can go through metal detectors. You can't pick it up.
Unbelievable.
So it's like, so all these factors, again, and I'm just kind of taking you the long route. These are factors that made Hip Hop Detox possible, because down in Carbondale, we had a organization called the Black Think Tank, which was a chapter of the National Black Think Tank. Yeah. But we brought Black folks together. This is before the Million Man March happened. And we all coming together to do something productive for us in that environment in Carbondale, right? We got an institution with 30,000 plus people, majority Caucasian, only about 4,000 or 5,000 Black folks. Black folks was down there gangbanging? You had G's and vice lords. You come all the way down to Carbondale to gangbang. Then you had St. Louis versus Chicago sometimes, or big city brothers. You had all these little factions, and then of course the fraternities, they had to get it on. So you got fights between the Qs and the Alphas. So you got these things going on, and we were like, you know what? We got to find a way to educate the people. Yeah. So we started something called didactic edutainment. Okay. We felt, you remember Bahamadia?
Yeah, the rapper Muhammad.
Yeah. So, she had that whole little didactic vibe, so we picked up on that. And so we started something where we said, hey, let's use the art form to educate. So we did that, and this is like 90s. So by the time I get back to Chicago, early 99, 2000s, I'm still connected to people in the hip hop industry because I came up with No ID I remember meeting him in '93 when he was working on Common's second album. So I'm in the studio with him and Doug Infinite and at J Chill Studios. So I'm working with him. I'm working with D.A. Smart. You know, back then, D.A. Smart was with Creators Way Records. So we had Do or Die. You had Twister. You had Sniper, Psychodrama. All of them was out there, you know, together. And this is before that whole history of Rap-A-Lot and the split and all that, Johnny P. This was before all that happened. So I'm looking at the industry. You know, I met Wendy Day back then, and, you know, and the things that she was doing for hip hop and trying to help artists. And as I go through all these motions, I'm seeing something that's consistent. Tupac said in one of his songs, I think it was the Machiavelli album, he said, I peeped the weakness in the rap game and sold it. When you peep the weakness in the rap game, you're really peeping the weakness in human beings and what's going on with us. And when you sell it because the story is not to be told, it's to be sold, well, your enemy is going to pick up on it also.
Absolutely.
That's why that movie Sinners was so powerful, because it showed how the enemy could look at our griots and look at our art form and say, hey, I can use that. I want your stories. But what's your intention? What's your motivation? Why do you want our stories? And so when we look at that weakness, well, if I love my people, I want to try to strengthen us so that our weakness don't continue from generation to generation and generation. But then people can say that, well, you know, you're weak because you're supposed to sell that, man. You ain't supposed to tell nobody that. You're supposed to sell it. You're supposed to merchandise it. But the reality is that we live in a society where the God of this world commercializes on everything. And when they commercialize, they have to, you know, I got to use this term, they got to step on it. You know what I'm saying? They don't want the raw one.
That's right.
They want to step on it and stretch it all the way out.
Put that fentanyl in it.
Man, that fentanyl ain't no joke. It's busting people's hearts, literally. I'm talking about it's busting hearts.
That's crazy.
And so we have like come up in a situation where by the time I get back to Chicago and I'm seeing the level of poison that's out there, my wife and I at the time, we said, look here, we got to find a way to detox this, because we're looking at a situation and we're looking at hip hop, but how do we define hip hop? Is it by just the 5 cultural elements? And I'm just going to talk to you about the MCing and the graffiti and the B-boy and the B-girl and
the breakdance,
DJing, you know, the science and the knowledge. Am I going to just talk on that level, or am I going to hit it in a way where everybody can benefit? So we define hip hop as being truth without boundaries. And the detox is to remove the poison. And at the root of all poison are lies, half-truths, and myths. So what we wanted to do is find a way to be able to take what we do and who we are and help other people do the same thing. Because when we come in a room, I don't have to know your first name or your last name and know that you're great. Because the Most High has deposited greatness in all of us. The question becomes, how do we help each other out to bring it out for us as a people? Because we want it to benefit you, and we want it to benefit your family and us as a people. Because we all are trapped in a situation where people want to call it the Matrix, they want to, whatever they want to call it. The reality is that we are in a situation that was ordained to happen. I could cuss and fuss all day long, but it was permitted for us to go through 400 plus years of hell. It was prophesied that for 310 years, we would go through what's called chattel slavery. It was prophesied that we would be the ones for 400 years would be robbed of our name, language, culture, religion. It was prophesied to happen. So I'm kind of weaving this stuff together to let you know that all these factors affected every one of us in this room.
Come on, man.
We're in different parts of the world, but all of this affected us because it affected our mamas, our grandmama, great-grandmama. It affected our children, it affected our sisters, our brothers, our cousins. All of it affected us. So what we said was, well, look, how do we take this hip-hop, looking at it from the perspective of, we're getting truth, but let's pull back on the idea of having boundaries where we only do what the industry wants us to do. We only communicate based upon what the parameters they set because we got to make money. It's about getting that bag or getting that fame, you know, or making people look at us a certain kind of way. Let's get back to the fact that, look, we had people doing hip hop before it was known as hip hop. Even people in New York would tell you, man, we was doing it. We just didn't call it hip hop. We was just doing it. Right. You know, there's songs that people were rapping on, and we talking about 50s, 60s. That's why James Brown was like, I was rapping before rap came out.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, that's the reality of it. That was part of us as a people, because we didn't use just the written communication as the way we communicate. We had the griots, we had the spoken word, we had the drum. So we had frequencies and sound starting with the human being.
Yeah, they was communicating through braids.
Bro,
back again. Yeah.
We used everything that was just part of nature. It was natural. And so we're now in a situation where we have to reverse things. But in order to reverse it, we got to be honest about where we are, who we are, and why we're in the state.
Right.
And so at this point, I'll say this. The Hip Hop Detox origins, it goes way back before we was born. It goes way back because we believe that if we say hip hop is truth without boundaries, then before there was a brother named Enoch and you know, brother N.O.C, you know, wrote this book. Before any of us came into existence, there was a source, a being that knew we had to be called into existence for this particular time. So we didn't just pop up.
Yeah.
You know, we were called into existence to be here at this time to do the things we're doing.
Right.
Because what we're going to do is affect generations yet unborn.
Come on, man.
And so when we do Hip Hop Detox, our goal is to say, look, everybody in this room got a gift or a talent. What can we do and bring it together to be able to obliterate those who can't think, because they're so baptized by the world that they can't even think beyond their condition right now.
Yeah.
So all they can do is give you vain imagination. Yeah. All they can give you is fantasy, illusion. When Ludacris says, what's your fantasy? That's similar to Facebook saying, what's on your mind?
Right. Wow. You know what's crazy? I was thinking about this as you was talking, because the detox part is such a valuable and important part of the whole thing, because it's like if you, okay, you know, you just get a house, you move to this house, and the previous owner got a whole bunch of junk still in the house. You can't just move into that house. You got to clear that stuff out. Might be mold in the walls. You gotta gut that house up to make it livable for you now. So the detox part is the part that stands out to me the most. But I want you to speak on this because from 06, and now here we are coming up on 20 years later, the consistency that you and your team had to take in order to keep this thing going. Speak on how from the time you started it with the idea you just laid out and a vision for it, it would seem now that the detox is needed more than ever now.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Because I think the content is more extreme now in hip hop than it's ever been.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I'll tell you this, you know, when you get into the educational system, for example, and then I'll go to juvenile detention centers.
Yeah.
But when you go where young people are and you see an 8th grader, for example, and this is unfortunately real, this is a real situation, I won't say the name, but when you see a girl and you find out through interaction, the reason why I couldn't do that assignment was because, you know, I was up selling drugs.
Yeah.
You know, my mom, she's strung out, so I got to do what I got to do. And I'm like, okay, well, what can we do to help you so you don't have to sell drugs, you know, blah, blah, blah. And you find out, well, sometimes I don't make enough money if I get robbed, so I have to do some stuff with some guys, you know, and sell my body.
Damn.
Because, you know, my brother's in 2nd grade or 1st grade, my sister, so I got to find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
Now, when you find that out and you working in the educational, like, what do? I just report that, and then they go into foster care because I'm a mandated reporter, right? But then you don't give any solutions. Like, what's the solution? You just going to separate the children? You know, so you got to give a solution. How do you deal with that? A young brother, he can't sit down. You know, everybody call him a problem child. But then you find out your mama killed your daddy. And it was in the public? Well, how did this happen? Oh, he was burned alive. He was burned in his car because she found out he was cheating, and so she did this to him and set the car on fire, and he couldn't get out. And so you watch this and then this happened last school year, but you didn't get no therapy, nobody talked, nobody helped you. So this is in your head, and they wonder why you can't sit down in the classroom and you always walking around. I'll be walking around too.
Yeah.
So we began to encounter these things, and I said, you know what, we got to do something. So what made us become so consistent, before Hip Hop Detox came into existence in 2002, we started a program called Operation Cultivation. We started off with cultural arts, conflict resolution, physical and mental wellness, entrepreneurship, and what we focused on was spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. How do we help young people go from the stage that they're in when we meet them to the next stage? So we had a very intense program through the summer. We met like about probably 5 to 6 times a week between the hours of like 10 and 4. We fed them. They were not allowed to bring was it Takis and Flaming Hots? They couldn't bring
none of that junk. Yeah.
They came in and ate real food. They had real vegetable trays, fruit trays, and they loved it. Like at first, it's like, what's that? But then when they started eating, they're like, this is actually good, you know? And you put a little ranch with it. And so we began to affect them holistically, which is part of the program. Mm-hmm. You got to affect them in terms of how to eat to live, but also how to think to live. And so when we did that program, it showed us they need to have an impact that's holistic. And so when we finally get to 2006, we came with Hip Hop Detox after trial and error, trying to work with the schools, and we were trying to give them the raw uncut. They didn't want the raw uncut. Mm-hmm. They don't want you coming in talking about deliberative dialogue. They don't want to hear about no atonement, you know what I mean, self-improvement. So we had to come in there with Hip Hop Detox. And so when we came in there with Hip Hop Detox, we said, well, look here. If you want young people to be engaged, yeah, we're going to come with hip hop, but we don't say hip hop is just rap.
Right.
Hip hop is universal. So we'll bring blues, jazz, all kind of music. And then we'll bring all kind of art form, martial arts, boxing. We'll bring culinary up in your piece. We're going to bring everything, including the kitchen sink. Because you have to holistically affect us spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Yeah. So we started teaching the young people and we started teaching the parents. Self first, then others is a principle that we were taught by a scientist.
Come on.
I ain't got to tell you his name.
I ain't got to tell you his name.
I'm going to tell you, it's a scientist who taught us self first, then others. Right. So if you're going to deal with self, that means spirit, mind, emotion, body. You have to get engaged with getting out what we call the closet that R. Kelly talked about. We call it the disease, we call it R. Kellyitis. Yeah. Because R. Kelly said that his mind was telling him no. But the body holding the story. I mean, so when it's a conflict going on within self, where the spirit is telling the mind to shut the hell up, the body is saying, "Oh, y'all can go to hell," then you got to deal with the conflict within self.
Internal war.
Internal warfare. Yeah. Because before you start trying to end the conflict between two opposing groups, how about the opposition that's going on inside of you? Right. Where your self-accusing spirit could be telling you the right thing to do, but it's a counter voice that's telling you, oh man, don't pay that no mind. You're just being a lame. Right. No, you ain't being a lame. Right. That's like the cartoon with the little angels on the one side and the devil on the other. And it seems like in the cartoon, the angels always soft and don't do that.
Yeah, and the devil do something and slap him upside the
head. You know, so it's like, no, you got to strengthen that angel inside of you, that God within you. You got to strengthen it because you live in a world that's ruled by Satan. Yeah. This is Satan's world. Yeah. And people don't like you saying that. You can't say, you know, Tupac called it the white man's world. Yeah. Well, Tupac wasn't lying. Right. Because those who came before Tupac wasn't lying. Yeah. But if you don't want to say the white man's world, how about Satan's world? Yeah. Well, you don't believe in no God. Okay, well, how about this? We live in an adversarial world that's against freedom, justice, equality, truth, and justice. Yeah. Can you get with that?
And you can't deny that. That's in your face if you're 10 years old.
It's in your face. Yeah. So this is what keeps us going, knowing that we are attempting the uphill road. Yeah. And say, what is the uphill road? It's to free a slave. Come on. Mm-hmm. And so you got to be like Michael Jackson. You got to free the slave in the mirror. Let me get free. I need to be free. Right. So then I can help free my people.
Yeah, put your own oxygen mask on.
Yeah, you got to. Yeah. Self first.
Yeah.
Then others.
Yeah, man. That's amazing, bro. And like I said, in this day and age, it got to be tougher, I would assume, because of all the ratio of what the evil versus the good, that evil ratio is hitting on by 90 something, compared to the, so as young people who are dealing with this trauma in a lot of cases on their own because the parents don't have the knowledge as well, what are some of the things that y'all do with the parents? Because I heard you mention the parent, because really that's where a lot of it starts. If there are some parents that are willing to kind of step in and be receptive, what are some of the things that y'all do with parents to try to make this thing work out a little better?
This may sound funny. I tell a lot of the superintendents and school districts and different therapists, you can't leave the parents out, because whatever you give the children, they say give the children social and emotional learning. They need emotional intelligence. That's true. They have a study dealing with adverse childhood experiences, and you got to be able to deal with that, or executive function. They got all these studies, right? Okay, you got adults who live with these children. You're about to teach them, right? But they only spend, 6-7 hours a day at school. There's 168 hours in every week. What are you going to do and help these children deal with the other 100 plus hours that they got to be at home or on the block? So whatever we teach the children, you got to teach the parents. Whoever the caretaker, is it grandma, is it auntie, is it cousin, is it somebody that just took them in? You have to help the adults who have to work with these children, because guess what? Those adults got trauma.
Yeah, we got to be on the same page.
They got the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's been a struggle sometimes convincing them of that, because they don't want to invest sometimes in holistic human development, which is the ultimate goal of Hip Hop Detox. Because once you help the child, you put them in a position to do better, but then you got to help that parent, because they now have to work with a child that's beginning to see a little differently. And you can't knock the child down and want to knock them for being honest with you. Because if you're traumatizing them and they begin to speak on, well, look, I need to do this because this is hurting me. Or mama, I don't think we should be eating this or drinking that because this is hurting. Well, now mama don't want to hear that.
Back to me now.
Yeah.
Well, you gonna eat what I cook? Yeah.
You gonna eat this. So now we gotta say, well, no, let's talk to mama, because see, your child can't, not only are they traumatized by what they experience at 6, 7, 8 years of age, but if you give them 5 pounds of sugar a week, how you expect them to even think right? Sugar has the same consistency as crack. So how you gonna expect them to be focused as a child and you give them all this sugary stuff? So now we have to engage the child, but then we can't leave out the professionals who work with them, because they got children. It used to be where burnout in school systems would take place. If school started in August, burnout would be usually in November. Now burnout is September. They burned out quick.
They burned out 30 days.
They burn out 30 days because they're dealing with themselves. A lot of them have children, so they're dealing with child issues and health issues. And now they got to deal with 25, 30 children in the classroom, and now they're getting burned out so quick that they're quitting. And now you got a lot of school districts, they don't have enough teachers because they like to hell with this, man. I ain't about to come up here and get treated like this.
And then these kids now, they aggressive. So if you talk to them crazy, they getting in your face. And as soon as you even get stopped back, you touch the baby, you gone. And then all the kids now, they recording you in class. It's crazy for them teachers, man. I'll be praying for them all the time, because they got to deal with so much and they can't really respond.
Well, the worst part is...
Sliding.
Yeah, the worst part is that many of these teachers are not well compensated. And I mean, so they feel like their hands are tied. Anybody that got a job, they ain't gonna get meets and bounds outside of what they being paid to do that particular job. So the sad part is when a person feels like it's so much to do their job, if them dollars ain't up where they need to be, eventually they gonna back off.
Indeed.
Have y'all had problems being accepted into the school district and school system, or have it been like any pushback, or has it been easy to kind of get into schools and talk to the children?
It depends upon the school district. Because we came here to Houston. We were in the was it Reagan High School? We had Reagan High School and a couple of schools. We had a great time in the schools here in Houston, and we even did surveys and got their responses, and the students loved it. The problem comes with the politics.
Okay.
That's where the problem comes. Because as soon as they have to pay for something, then if the investment that year is on something else, they'll find reasons to not invest until a shooting takes place or till something happens, and now they ambulance chasing. Now got to be a crisis for you to recognize you could have did something preventively. So now, like you said, we're at the apex, like 100%. We are now at the apex of dissatisfaction.
Yeah.
How are we going to engage these young people?
Right.
But you can't engage them with that same crap you had for the last 20, 30 years.
No doubt.
You got to flip the script. And you can't initiate it or facilitate it with the same type of adults. See, you can't, it's like people want to leave out key elements. You can't leave out the professionals who work with young people. So we've done detox professional development and trainers where we work with counselors, principals, assistant principals, superintendents, social workers, all those that work with young people, we work with them. But when we tell them, if you want us to teach you how to facilitate what we do, you got to be willing to rock an open mic.
Right.
Now I'm going to tell you where that caveat comes in at. You can't do hip hop empowerment and not do hip hop.
Come on.
Right.
Come on.
It's like the saying out here. What was that Clips? My man Pusha T. He was like, he don't like rappers who don't rap.
Yeah.
Or if you don't, if you don't write, you know what I mean. You don't.
Right.
So my thing is this. Yeah, we need people who can facilitate. Yeah. They can teach. They can train. They can counsel. They can coach. All those are part of the elements of what makes what we call a hip hop empowerment specialist. But to facilitate a hip hop, after you learn the curriculum and everything, now you got to get to an open mic.
Yeah.
You got to go on that microphone.
Right.
You got spoken word. You got hip hop. You got to be able to feel comfortable on a microphone in an audience that don't know you. They don't know your material.
That's right.
Because if you can control or be an MC in that environment,
come on, man,
you can take over any classroom.
That's right.
You can manage all. You got to have that. That's like guerrilla warfare.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of people, of course, they want to run from this, because there's a requirement like that. Yeah. And so school districts, unfortunately, a lot of them are thieves. So if you put a curriculum in front of them, they will steal it.
Right.
And then they will try to implement it wrong. And then they'll say, well, this don't work. That's because you a thief.
Right.
Instead of you taking the whole package, you took an element of it and you forget that there's something called a pedagogy where you're dealing with the methods, why we do what we do, how we do what we do, and then how do we assess the value of it. And it goes beyond what you think.
Yeah.
And so it's unfortunate that you have some school districts who they allow the politics of things to stop them from being productive. And then some people even say, look, this is called the killing field.
Yeah.
They've been dumbing down the American citizens for decades.
Yes.
So some people look at it as this is just part of the plan to keep us so dumb that you'll never be able to be a true citizen and stand for what the quote unquote republic is supposed to stand for. So it goes back again to that Tupac statement in White Man's World and how he took the words of the Honorable Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan during the Million Man March, and he said that the citizens of this nation, the true citizens, they never intended for us to be citizens,
that's right,
but to be burden bearers for the true citizens of this nation. So we're looking at a whole reversal now, where you got a lot of us who we have this skin tone, but the mind is different. And we're getting more and more frustrated because we're like, why is it that we're not getting true freedom, justice, and equality? Why we can't get it? That's because we have not accepted the fact that if you don't separate from a mindset of a slave, you'll never be able to defeat the mindset of a God.
Come on.
A God has to compete with a God. A slave cannot compete with a God.
Come on, man.
And right now, we got a lot of people in positions, but they still have a slave mindset.
Right.
And today, we've been affected with a new version of Willie Lynch. Like back then in 1995, when we heard the Willie Lynch letter, back then they were saying, the Willie Lynch letter, let's divide the people by some live on the hill, some is in the valley, some is east, north, west. Well, now, you divide it, I think the earth is flat. Well, I think the earth is round. I think the earth is oblong.
Right.
So now we about to get in that ego trip and not talk to each other, love each other, like each other, because we disagree on the shape of the earth.
Right, yeah. Right. Absolutely. Really? Absolutely. Meanwhile, this enemy out here smacking us upside the head all day long.
All day long.
Yeah, all no question about it. Is that something in place that because I'm always talk about the lack of ownership that we have in terms of hip hop, in terms of like a lot of artists you see us always complain about they stole my publishing, they own my masters, we only getting this and that, and those are definitely real legit things on a level dealing with our youth. Is that something in place that kind of instills in them early about the agenda to infuse the negative content into them at an early age? Is that part of the process?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And to show it to them in a way where they can understand from a TikTok perspective, because right now that's the language they speak.
Right.
They speak TikTok. You got to get it to them in 30 seconds, 45 seconds.
Yeah.
All the songs these days are like a minute and
all the time.
It's like you gotta get them quick.
Yeah.
You know, I think Kendrick with that beef, he's probably reversing it because people are doing reactions to like 6 minutes, you know, Euphoria and all that, and people are like getting more into lyrics. So slowly but surely, I think people are beginning to increase their attention span because of the beef.
Do it.
Yeah. People are really beginning to increase their attention span.
Yeah.
I think that I caught something you said about ignorant rap.
Yeah.
And I would agree with you.
Yeah.
I think that we're at a time where there's a fight that's going on that's unseen, but it's very real.
Right.
When you start talking to people about it, people are like, man, I'm tired of this bullshit.
Yeah. And because people say, but I don't listen to the radio no more. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's like one of the first steps.
It's the beginning.
Yeah. Because the question I asked was is ignorant rap on life support?
Mm-hmm.
You know, just kind of, and it may not be on life support, but it done took some shots, wounded.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to go to the hospital. Yeah, because I just believe in us. I believe that we gonna reverse this thing at some point, but it has to be done on the base. It has to start on that base level, at that root level.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of us, man, we at our age, we so messed up. But I think you get them babies early at the time when they are more susceptible to learn and take in information is when they're youngest.
Yes, sir.
Man, you infuse that understanding of this is what the plan is.
Yes, sir.
I think it gives us a better chance to make them be able to Barry Sanders that plan and like y'all ain't gonna catch us up in that.
Yes, sir. Let me try to say this. No, when he simply just said, that's why I use that word BS.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We use that in a lesson
Yeah.
because we have to detox the language.
Right.
So when we disarm the language, we let them know with all the cursing and profanity, like, look here, that ain't nothing new. We've been doing that.
Right.
But you got to know that if you speak a corner crowd type of language or club language, and you're inside of an educational institution or some other institution, that's the wrong language to speak.
Right.
So when we say BS, I tell them, I said, look here. An old woman told me, elderly sister said years ago when I was a teenager, she said, you know, BS ain't nothing but chewed up grass.
Yeah.
And you need that to be able to fertilize, you know, plants and fruits and vegetables. So you have to be able to select what seeds you allow to germinate in you. Mm-hmm. Because seeds come through thoughts, which are transmitted through words. Mm-hmm. And so since sound travels at a rate of 1,120 feet per second, an average thought is 24 million miles per second, then you have to be of the mindset of, hey, I'm not going to allow just anything to enter here and take root. Some things got to get discarded out.
Yeah.
Because I don't want that to go from my mind to my heart.
Come on.
And so we're at a time where you have to not only TikTok the message sometimes, but you got to intensify the dosage of the antidote. Because all of us have experienced poison, but you can choose to use that poison as an antidote. So then when you communicate to our people, you're communicated with that respect and consideration that's needed, but the truth is propelled by love, not hate. It's propelled by love, not resentment. Yeah. It's propelled by love. Right. And if I can get rid of my resentment, you know, because a lot of times we trapped in what's called a triangle of deception, where I resent my past and the things that happened to me that I have no control over, but I resent that. Right. And I hate my present condition. And because I hate my present condition, I fear the future. And that triangle of deception keeps us locked in shame and guilt. And so everything I'm saying to you, that's part of the detox lessons. We have all kind of designs and diagrams and songs and productions, but all of it is part of principles that allow for someone like you and us to come in, and then we detox them children together.
Yeah.
And we hit them upside the head in such a way where they leave out of there feeling, I can do everything that I have in my mind to do because I'm seeing you communicate in that kind of way with me. So now I feel inspired to come back into this building because even though I'm going through hell at home, I see now an opportunity to change my condition because of what I'm getting from you, just from your aura, just from your spirit, and from the words that I'm getting that I really needed for my soul.
You unlocked them. You unlocked them and I think, man, anybody that's watching this, y'all, please rewind to when he first started talking about the BS and how you broke down. That's a scientific explanation of just how layered it is, and just the It reminded me also when we talk about like snake venom. Part of the antidote is the venom itself, and it's part of the cure to sickness is the sickness itself.
Yeah,
but it's utilized, it's turned and used in a way that's going to be beneficial to the person. Detox is like that sticks with me the most. But when we was walking in, we was talking about some hoop stuff, and we was talking about a fast that you had done.
Yes, sir.
And it made me think about trying to get us young and old to take fast like we would do with food and certain drinks, and to fast from ingesting mentally certain types of music and content.
Yes, sir.
You know, I've heard people say, we social media fast. I'm going to go a week without getting on Facebook or Instagram. I would love to see us challenge our young people to fast from certain types of rap. No disrespect to any rapper who may be putting out that kind of content, but like I say, look, go a week without listening to this person. Go 2 weeks without listening to that. And I think that because fasting is a way of detoxing as well. Would you agree with that? And is that something that y'all touch on?
Wholeheartedly. Yeah. No, wholeheartedly. Because, people have said in many ways, you are what you eat, right? And a lot of times we don't look at it from a mental perspective. We only look at it from a physical perspective. I want to give you this. Over the years, we've heard the saying, art imitates life and life imitates art. Mm-hmm. I came across a European, I believe it's a German European, named Bertolt Brecht, Bertolt, and last name is Brecht. Bertolt Brecht stated that art is not a mirror held up to reality, but a hammer with which to shape it. I'm going to say it again. Art is not a mirror held up to reality, but a hammer with which to shape it. Now, this particular German was born in 1898, passed away in 1956. So at the height of what happened in Germany, they were utilizing art as a weapon. So we, for some reason, well, on one hand, we weren't aware of this kind of information. So we were told by others that art imitates life, life imitates art. I don't think that came from black people. I think that came from somebody else, whether they were in Hollywood or whatever, to justify what was being put out there, not with quote-unquote hip-hop in the 70s, 80s, all that. There's a song called Till the Cows Come Home. I don't know if you ever heard that song.
I heard the term.
Yeah, I didn't
know the song.
Yeah. I don't know if we can play it in here or not, but it's by a sister named Lucille Bogans. She would put Glorilla, she would put Sexy Red to shame. Now, you know it's a lot of shame. Yeah, she would put Meg Thee Stallion. This came out in the 1930s. This woman, they found her, I forgot what record label it was, but they found her in Mississippi, and they put this on wax. She talking about, she a B from Baltimore. And she talking about everything sexual you can think of.
I think I heard her, if it's the same sister, I think I heard she was going in.
She was going in.
Yeah. This a black woman?
It's a black woman. She a B from Baltimore.
Going in. Yeah. What he's saying is the light part of it. She was saying some stuff. I never knew her name though.
Hey, and this is 1930, bro.
Yeah. Wow.
So somebody had to draw her out. See, and a lot of times we don't recognize, we have those who have been watching us for a long time. They're watchers. They study us. But for what purpose, though? That's why that movie Sinners was such a powerful movie. Right. Because when it got to that part when the man was talking about how we want your stories. You know what I mean? Because they knew the power of the griot. Yeah. But what's your intention? They don't want it to help you. They wanted it to control you and master you and make you like them. Right. So we have to be able again to say, well, guess what? One came from the east and went 9,000 miles by himself.
By himself.
You know what I mean?
One deep.
Yeah. One deep.
Yeah.
But came knowing that he was going to find one.
Yeah. That
was going to be able to produce a whole nation.
Yeah.
That's why when I saw the date, I'm like, okay, this person was born in 1898? Yeah. Okay, well, we had one that came in 1877. Yeah. And didn't make himself known to 1930.
Right.
But he came in 1910 and he studied for 20 years amongst all of this.
Yeah.
For 20 years. So he had to see what happened in Germany. He had to see what took place. Right. So that's why I'm like, none of this is by accident. Yeah. None of this is by coincidence. Yeah. We're just fulfilling the new parts. Right. Because everything from Genesis to Revelation, the 114 chapters or surahs in the Quran, we've exhausted all of this. Right. So we part of the new growth because we're at the dawn of a new day. And the dawn is light mixed with darkness. Right. So that means that we ain't even 100 years into this. This is a millennial work.
It's the first quarter. Yeah.
Bro, and so that's what makes me to say we can't stop. We can't give up. Yeah. We have a principle and a slogan in Hip Hop Detox where we tell the youth and the adults, don't give up. There's value in struggle. It's called progress. Right. And so degree by degree, inch by inch. No, it may not come like you wanted to come. You want everything to be changed overnight. But it didn't get like this overnight. Right. We got a history that tells us that the supreme being, the originator, hid himself from the public 66 trillion years ago.
Come on, man. Wow.
So that everything in us could be made manifest to us. Right. That's a long time.
That's a long time. The earth has only been around, the universe is only 13.8 billion. You're like, what? What are you talking about, man? Y'all off by trillions of years.
They're still working on it.
Yeah, for sure indeed. I want to ask you, do you believe this? For years, I've been hearing about this this meeting that took place in the early 90s between people in charge of the prison industrial complex and record industry executives, where they came together and formulated this plan to do exactly what you're saying, to weaponize the music.
Yes, sir.
And some people will say, well, no, that didn't really happen. Some people say it really did happen. But regardless, the result really happened.
Yes, sir.
So is that something you heard of? And where they was basically, the prison people were urging the record people to say, hey, man, start putting out more content that will drive the audience, the young audience, to commit these acts that these rappers is rapping about that will fill our prisons. Yes. That's basically what it was. Yeah, yeah. Is that something you familiar with? And,
I'm familiar with it. And, I want to say to your audience, there's a difference between conspiracy theory and conspiracy fact.
Right.
And think about the recent Diddy trial. Think about the R. Kelly trial or the Epstein trial, which I'm still trying to wrap my head around. How could you get hit with a RICO by yourself?
Yeah.
When it was supposed to be designed to show a conspiracy between two or more.
Come on.
And a criminal organization.
Yeah, right. That ain't there.
So how are you taking that which locks up the Gambino family and you use it on one individual?
Wow.
Even Epstein had a partner.
Come on, man.
Lane had to get locked up.
Right.
But where's R. Kelly? I mean, who else got locked up but R. Kelly?
Right. Yeah.
And Diddy, it's like, but anyway.
No,
but it's like conspiracies. This is not. It doesn't add up. It's not mathematical. Right. It's not logical.
It's a public lynching.
It is. Mm. And when you say conspiracy in the 1990s, I heard a brother who went to I'm gonna say the name of this entity. It's called Full Sail.
Okay.
One of my guys, a couple of my students even went to Full Sail to learn. It's in Florida. I think they got one in California. It's a university where you learn how to produce music, how to do film, all of that, and it's on Universal Studios property.
Wow.
A brother told me, he said that his professor, and this is about maybe 12 years ago, explained that they have something called the meeting of the 12 dwarfs.
Dwarfs like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs? Okay.
12 dwarfs. And they meet, and he said what they do is they determine the trends that they want to have over the course of the next so many years. So you have those who lead in publishing, book publishing, not music, book publishing, in film, in fashion, and music, and in these other areas. And so if you want, for example, if you want leggings to be popular, how do you exhibit that in film? How do you exhibit that in music? How do you make this popular in books? And they determine a course that they all agree upon. So then when they meet back, they can see how much money it yielded, how much influence and sway. If you want eyelashes that's way out here, so you get the snuffleupagus effect.
Right.
How do you
Scratch
make
your
that happen? You know, I know some of y'all might be mad at me when I said that, but I'm just.
They be all right.
Yeah.
They be all right.
Don't be angry. I love you, you know. But understand that there's others who they understand how to determine trends, and they utilize all the resources that they have to make it happen. So this is not new. The COINTELPRO of the United States government, they funded how to destabilize Black organizations and destroy the movements of Black leaders. And they were doing it before the 60s. Before there was a CIA and FBI, there was something called the OSS. If y'all never heard of the OSS, look up the OSS and Wild Bill Donovan. Wild Bill Donovan was before J. Edgar Hoover. He was actually J. Edgar Hoover's mentor. People looked up to Wild Bill because Wild Bill and the OSS, they went after Marcus Mosiah Garvey. They went after all those. That's why we don't even know who killed Prophet Noble Drew Ali. May peace be upon him. Because you had the Wild Bills out there making sure that any Black leader that they couldn't control, they got rid of. So when it comes to what happened in the 90s, you know, okay, we weren't at the meeting, but I'm going to tell you some meetings we were at. When you think about all those pro-Black type of artists that began to get defunded at a time when Fight the Power came out, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, that was getting funded. Money was being bankrolled. You connecting that song and that album to the movie, Do the Right Thing, that was big money. So when Ice Cube came out with the Lynch Mob, I remember being down in Carbondale, Illinois, and it was whites. That was like, it came to a Public Enemy, Lynch Mob, Ice Cube, and I'm in a conversation. White folks are talking about, yeah, my mom is racist. She's a devil. She's a devil. Because she doesn't like Black people because they're Black and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, well, what do you think about yourself? Well, I'm not a devil because I don't think like that. And I'm just listening to the mindsets of Caucasian young people being changed because they're now not only listening to those artists, they want to read Ivan Van Sertima now. They want to read Chancellor Williams. They want to read Elijah Muhammad's books. So I don't think it's an accident that somebody said, hey, you know what? This is getting too radical.
Let's
because
turn this
80% of Caucasian people, if they're the ones that's buying the hip hop, they're going to the concerts and they're listening to people promoting scholars that they don't promote and that they don't want you to know about. No, we got to change the griot. We got to flip the script. So I'm gonna decrease the budget. D.A. Smart had that happen to him. He was signed to RCA Records. They decreased the budgets and shelved him outright because he doing songs like Black People Ain't Prejudiced, We Just Mad. We can't have that. They got rid of that. They just shelved him, and they started funding Adina Howard's, Hoes with Attitude, Bitches with Problems. Those kind of artists started getting the funding, getting the promotion, getting the marketing, and we began to see where the money went. So whether people want to agree with it or not, check out the rise of privatized penitentiaries. When did that happen? See, sometimes you just got to follow the money. So if you want to dispute whether or not that meeting actually happened, look at those aspects that are being talked about that you can trace.
Right.
When did
In the timeline?
Check the timeline. When did, not J. Edgar Hoover, but his brother Bill Clinton, when did Bill Clinton, old Bill, when did he communicate that the Gangster Disciples, or the GDs, were the most notorious gang in the United States and they needed to be attacked, basically? When did he put the FBI on them? Think about when the fall of the Soviet Union took place. And they said that we're going to take all of our CIA agents and put them amongst the gangs. When did that happen? Wasn't there a group from Houston that put out a CD, put out an album, and they had Larry Hoover on it?
They got a Ghetto Boy.
Ghetto Boy.
Yeah.
And he told them to go vote.
Told them to go vote.
Go to the polls, yeah.
He told them it was no longer Gangster Disciple, but it was growth and development.
Right.
Yeah.
And he flipped the script on the lit. Back then, you had love, life, loyalty, knowledge, wisdom, understanding.
Right.
Flipped it. Politics, education, economics, self-development, organization, unity. Once that got flipped, they became a terrorist organization.
Right.
We're going to have to destabilize them, because not only is he telling them politics was the first thing, but he said growth and development, which starts with yourself first.
Right.
So what happened? Well, I was in college. I picked up Message to the Black Man. I'm at a junior college, and it's flooded now with GDs.
Yeah.
All in the building, going to school. And I'm watching this, and I'm loving it.
Yeah.
And then the vice lords didn't want to get left out, so they started going to school. So they began seeing, these niggas are really going to school based upon what the old man is saying. So then they had to send him to Colorado or wherever they sent him to make sure he'd locked down 23 hours. And then they destabilized that movement because they did not want us to grow and develop. They wanted us to maintain a gangster posture, illegal activities of all kinds, so then they can control and manipulate us.
Right.
And then the prison system were able to get their money because the corporations invested in those those beds. So in Chicago, well, in Illinois, I think it's $45,000 per inmate.
Yeah.
We have over 230 some odd penal institutions. So think about the money that's
Do the math.
generated. Yeah, do the math.
Man.
The money that's generated.
That's per year.
Yeah.
Per year. Per inmate.
Per inmate.
You know what's crazy though? Like even in Chicago now, you'll see some of the most youngest of the, like they getting them now when they like 7 and 8 running up on people, man. It's like young baby gangsters now.
It's the Yummy recipe.
Yeah.
You know, when Yummy back in the day, they had a whole Yummy thing, and an 11-year-old that was murdered by, they say, by his gang, which is a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
But
What Tupac had on post,
yeah. And he was allegedly killed because he killed the girl. And again, it's a whole other story behind that that I was told. But the reality is that that recipe has been passed on and it has been accelerated. So now, again, TikTok. You got shorties 9, 10, 11 years old. They got $1,500 bills in their hand. They smoking blunts. They carrying weapons. And they talking about you niggas are lames. You know what I mean? I'll come up on this block and I'll light this whole block up. You know what I'm saying? 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. Because Big Homie is 14, 15.
Yeah.
OG to them is 17.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Making the dead like crazy.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we have to, again, when you say about detox, we have to be in a process of intercepting that. And the problem with us is that we have too many of us who gangbang.
Yeah.
But it ain't the gang banging on the street. We gang banging with non-for-profits.
Right.
We gang banging with unity movements. We gang banging with religion. We gang banging with podcasts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like we found every reason to gang bang with each other when our open enemies, they started working together in such a way where you would see maybe 15, 20 years ago, Dunkin' Donuts saying, let's put a Dunkin' Donuts and a Subway together so then we can share the costs. So we can cut the costs and get all this foot traffic and we all make money. So they started consolidating and working together. You can keep your, like you said with your group, you can keep your logo and your flag, but let's work together. Let's cut our costs, but we all benefit. But for us, man, please, everybody got a 501c3. Instead of saying, let's work together and stop creating a whole bunch of 501c3s, it's like the 501c3 industry make money off us the same way the record industry did. Everybody get a record label.
Yeah.
But nobody got investments. Nobody got finance. Nobody got marketing. Nobody got distribution. So you just create a logo and it's similar to African countries. Everybody get a flag.
Yeah.
But now you got some African countries like Burkina Faso and the other countries, they're coming together.
Yeah, no doubt.
They're breaking down them boundaries. And that's why we got to bring, again, hip-hop, the hip-hop part.
Yeah.
True without boundaries. This is my brother. He got skill sets I don't have.
Yeah.
Let's work together. You, my brother, we got skill
Pull
sets.
your resources.
Pull our resources.
What the messenger said.
That's what he said. 4 or 5 you'll get together, pool your resources because you got like minds, like spirits. Work together.
Right.
It's not gang banging.
Y'all got a little group right there, man. The BIBs, Brothers in Black.
Brothers in Black.
Yeah, you ain't get to eat that. But now you got on under the. Let's talk about the book, my brother.
Yes, sir.
Because we got this book, man. It's poison.
Yes,
and
sir.
as I hold up the front, I read the back. Poison is everywhere.
Yes,
give us a rundown on the book and what inspiration and where
they can get it,
content and all that. Yeah,
Yes,
definitely where they can get it.
Yes, sir. Well, I'll start off with that part. If you go to www.poisonbooks.com, www.poisonbooks.com, you'll be able to not only get the book, but you'll be able to see the video, which shows the trailer for the book. There's a whole release of the book that we have a video for where people can actually watch, those who either wrote the foreword, and we had 2 people that took part in that. A professor from Columbia College who teach hip hop named Sister Amina Hawkins. She and her husband co-created what's called Hip Hop Heritage Month in Chicago, and she's an international hip hop activist. And then a brother who's a pioneer in house music named Byron Stingley of the group 10 City. He wrote the other forward. And so the book chronicles what was going on in the mid-'80s in the city of Chicago, particularly the South Side, where these teenagers were trying to navigate life at a time where you had the rise of crack, the rise of house music and hip hop, and it was during the Reaganomics time period, and how they were trying to navigate life going through all these things without a map, without a roadmap to how to avoid some of these pitfalls and traps. And so the book has a lot of hip hop in it, a lot of music, a lot of lyrics, and a lot of imagery that shows you what was going on at that time, but also it helps young people to see how, slangs may change, but unfortunately, a lot of things remain the same. And it's a lot of stuff that we went through that they going through. But it's the same stuff. It's just that, we didn't have the internet at that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we had a lot of things that happened that if young people knew what we went through, it would give them a key to how to access options and opportunities so they can avoid the same stuff that we went through. So the book, it goes through that exploration. It asks a lot of questions. And one thing about the book, there's a workbook that goes with it that goes into how to delve into the trauma, and then it gives you exercises, the activities, so you can take young people through it. Because our goal is for Hip Hop Detox to be with you.
Right.
For you to have your own license, your own franchise, for your group, for your foundation, for your organization. Because the goal is to make this thing continue to grow and spread. And so the book is a way to get people on that journey to detox their own poison. I have a hoodie. I didn't wear it, but the hoodie say it has antidote on there. And it's a hip hop detox at the top. But the result is antidote. We become literal antidotes. And see, your music, brother, you are a walking antidote. Because you put in your music the panacea, the remedies, and you do it in a variety of ways where I have a field day with your music, bro.
I'm talking
about
praise and do the Allah.
About putting you into scenes and scenarios. So then we could do productions or plays or whatever. So then we could just explode what you're saying so people can see it visually, see it in skits. Because you got to have a person who can take what they do and they produce antidotes. So then you can see it, you can feel it, you can taste it, you can touch it. And so the book gives that opportunity as a something that you can read. And we have an audio book So now you can listen to it being read if you don't want to read it. And then we have one version where the music is there. So if you turn to a page, for example, and you see Teddy Pendergrass, you can't hide from yourself. Well, if you never heard that song before, then you go right to the song and then you can play it. But it gives you a snippet in the audiobook. You know, so you got songs like James Brown, Body Heat, you know, and it's part of the book dealing with young guys talking about having sex for the first time. And it's a lot of vignettes and real like situations. And then some of it's dramatized and we had the names and everything.
Right.
But it gives you really what was going on at that time period. And before I stop on that, even the history of crack, because most people don't know, unfortunately still, that it wasn't called crack by us. It was called crack by the FBI.
Okay.
The FBI came up with that name. In the hood, we was calling it Ready Rock.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It was Ready Rock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In 2009, when Fruit Rick Ross was released from prison, he was in the halfway house, I called his brother and had him come to Chicago. And so we toured with Rick for several years. And then we toured with him in New Orleans and Baton Rouge with Silky Slim out in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, that's my guy.
Yeah, Silky Slim.
That's my guy. That's my brother right there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So we all connected.
Yeah, right.
So, and when he told me, he said, man, we said the FBI came up with that, man. He said, I never sold crack. I sold Ready Rock. And that's what it was. It was Ready Rock. It was rocked up for you. But the reason why that's important is because a lot of times we don't recognize how we're being always not only worked on, but we're being shaped. So when you go to school, some of you all who are educators or you're social workers, they have something called the Pavlov's dog experiment, the Pavloni experiment, where Dr. Pavlov, he would take meat powder and they would have a fan to blow it into the nostrils of a dog and it would ring a bell.
Right.
And every time they did that, they ring the bell, the dog would salivate because it was getting that reward.
He associated it with,
Yeah. And so as soon as he stopped putting that meat powder in, it didn't stop the salivating because as soon as it heard that bell ring, it would start slobbing because it's anticipating it. We don't understand that our taste, the things that we have an appetite for, somebody helped us to make that real.
Come on.
They generated those appetites and those lusts. So that's why it's so important for us to hear when people tell us, man, it's not that we have bad children. The world is bad. These systems are bad. They use laws to produce mischief and mayhem with laws.
Right.
So it was prophesied this would happen, but it was also prophesied that we would overcome it.
That's right.
We would overcome it.
Yeah.
And so we don't know a lot of times that we're doing that in what we do. Because there was a new song that was being sung. You know what I mean? It was a new thing that was being done, but no eye has seen, no ear has heard.
Come on.
So it couldn't even enter to the hearts of man what was to come next. What we're doing is that next.
Come on.
We just don't recognize it sometimes because it seems like it's falling on deaf ears, but it's really not. It's just that we don't have major corporations to blast how good we're doing, you know.
Or even research.
Or research.
Come on.
To market and see what needle we moving forward. What is the measurement of success? We not measuring, we just doing what we do.
Come on, man.
But somebody measuring.
Yeah, somebody is measuring. And that's why they spend so much time trying to give an alternative to what we're doing. Because if we were left alone, oh man.
It's all over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing. A lot of the people, activists, people who are putting together these kinds of movements, they get discouraged because, like you say, the progress seems to be too slow. And the people are getting hopeless and discouraged. They feel like, man, we don't have no ways. So if that continues on, man, then somebody got to be the one to make us understand, nah, man, it's working, it's happening.
Yes.
You know, it's happening. And whatever, it's to make them understand whatever condition that you going through, it can be changed. Some people, man, I lost hope, man. Ain't no hope for me, man. I ain't gonna see it. I ain't gonna see 20. Oh man, we gonna be here forever, man. We gonna never get out the hood. Whatever it is, it's a cloud of hopelessness that just hovers over us for literally decades, man. Yes. And we got to come along and break that and snap us out of that, man. No matter how bad we down by 28 in the fourth quarter. We can come back and win, but it don't look good. Ain't but 7 minutes left. But we can do it, man. You got to get a few stops and we be all right, man. Yeah,
you know what's so funny? And it's funny, yet it's tragic. You know, when you put ditches for us to fall in, sometimes people forget that same ditch you can fall in.
Right.
So, when you put heroin in the streets, for example, and we have a crisis, but you don't call us victims of a public health issue, you call us criminals.
Right.
But as soon as the opioid crisis becomes something that you deal with, now it's a public health issue.
What Richard Pryor say, white folks go, oh my God, it's an epidemic. It becomes epidemic now, no, but like you said, because I see that with like meth and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, no, they're like, this is, they all see how I feel now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You seeing your own on crack, and they're getting the marijuana laced with the fentanyl, and they getting the crank and all this other stuff. But it's like, no, this now it's not only the quote unquote chickens coming home to roost, but we're beginning to see why your own people are now fighting you.
Right.
You in Congress talking about why is it that an American company like Kellogg can give us carcinogenic ingredients in our cereals with 50 ingredients, but the same company can go to Europe and only 6 to 8 ingredients and the same coloring that you give us, you give it to them, but they use beets and carrots for it, but you give us yellow number 5 and red 40.
I saw a meme that speaks right to your point. It had Quaker Oats in America, Quaker Oats in I think the UK. The ingredient list under the one from America, that bad boy looked like and in the UK it was about that thin.
Yes, sir.
So that speaks to agenda. That speaks to genocide. Just that whole plot, the culling of a population and all. Because why would you use those ingredients when they're not necessary? They have no nutritional value, and then they will blatantly tell you what the effects will be on you. Or you can research it if you want to know the effects that it's going to be. So they it's clear they trying to wipe us out, but that's where that education comes in for us to teaching our children. When you said, nah, y'all don't get to bring no hot Cheetos, y'all getting vegetable plates. It's the clean glass and the dirty glass.
Yes, sir.
That's all it is. And the people will make the right decision, on their own when they got the option.
Can I say that?
Yeah.
That is the point and I think it was a certain point we were talking about earlier that it made me think of the same thing. That ultimately your work with the Hip Hop Detox, our work,
yes, sir,
as cleaning up in this life, and I'm saying that in the whole general picture, I'm speaking of a whole general picture, it's gonna begin in that family unit.
Yeah.
And because that family unit been broken down to quarks, to where now most men ain't in the house, you got women running the house. And ain't nobody, I ain't putting no blame on nobody, because if you look at the social landscape, you see men and women ain't even getting along right now.
Right.
We just don't understand each other. Social media done took its toll. And your work is based, and I'm gonna stop saying your work. Our work.
Yes, sir.
There we go. So our work is based upon catching what's been done, because this after the family unit has been broken, the rest is for us to work with. That's what we got to work with. And so now you dealing with a spirit in a human being that got to be corrected. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then the mental stuff that was added on to that spirit.
Yeah.
And then we get to the physical stuff.
Yeah.
And so the sad part is those layers gotta all be attacked. And this is just my personal answer to it, is fixing that family unit. Because if we fix that, then it won't be all the children out here fending for self. Working on the human being, that gets us to where we at with the Million Man March. What the minister was saying about atonement, and working on the spirit and the heart of a person, of a man, of a person. So all those men that were there made a pledge.
That's
and
right.
It was about being better men, being a certain fabric had to be born on that particular day, and then get out here and build a family institution a certain way that now the communities can be born from. You know what I mean? And so once again, for this brother and for all of us to have this work that we talking about with the Hip Hop Detox, it's kind of sad after all these years, but it's a reality. And as he was saying, as the book was saying, as you were saying earlier, we might be losing right now, but we can definitely fix it.
Can I say this?
Sure.
I'm gonna tell you what's beautiful. And don't get embarrassed, brother. I'm gonna say this. No, it's beautiful.
Yeah, get him.
Yeah. This brother came to Chicago. We work. One of our partnerships is with brother. I call him brother Pastor Father Flaker.
Yeah.
So we at Saint Savannah Church, right? And this brother, he gets a call from me. We got a deal with brother Father Flager where we get a space in the community center he has called the Ark of Saint Savannah, and we're gonna transform this room. This is a brick room, the regular room, but we're gonna transform it into a music studio.
Wow.
Right? So we get a partnership. We get the money. You know, this brother works with me to make sure every but forget the equipment. First of all, he designs the studio.
Wow.
You know, we get what the architect needs, so then the contractor knows where the beams need to go, and you know how we need to have this structure, how the booth needs to be set up. We go to whatever that company was to make sure from the microphones to all the components we have what's needed. Then he comes to Chicago and he works with the young producers, the artists. We making music, and this brother, for those who, I mean, you all in Houston should know this already.
That's right.
For a brother who has a background, not only did he make Whitney Houston's last platinum single and produce that, you know, not only did he work with Bobby Brown, Shaq, you know,
That's right.
my brother K. Look, the brother, he worked with the shorties on the block. So then they could understand vocals and how to utilize their voice to get the best out of it in a production. He was helping to produce them because there's a difference between a beat maker and a producer.
Come on, man.
There's a difference between a beat maker and a producer. He's a producer.
That's right.
He just adds,
you know,
scientist.
Adds what's needed.
and he's a perfectionist at that. So, you know, so, but I want to say that, look, you all, you got all this talent in Houston. We need to be in the school system.
Yeah.
We need to be utilized. This brother right here, he was a star in the Detox Talent Development Program working with us in Chicago. However, we need to say the same thing up here in Houston.
Yeah.
Because not only is he a teacher of sound production and artist development, but he knows the business and he learned the hard way when it comes to administration, when it comes to publishing, when it comes to copyrights.
And you know how to get that business credit.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So but I just want to make sure that I put that out there because that's how we make this real. That's how it becomes our work. Right. Because we learn from each other what it is that we have a passion for, and then we connect the dots. Elder sister one time say, it's not so much that we're disunited as we're disconnected.
Come on.
And when we connect with each other, we try to find the best part of the planet Earth to connect on. So don't always try to go to the worst part.
Exactly.
Let's find the best part. And, you know, and there's people I'm disconnected from, you know, and I just hope and pray that we're blessed to connect because there's people in Chicago that's doing great work.
Come on.
And we're not connected. Some people, they get, I understand how it is when you get tunnel vision where you can't look to your right or your left because you just focus. And I understand that, so I don't bother people. Right. You know what I mean? Because when it's time to connect, we connect.
Right.
However, we're coming up on the 30-year anniversary of the Million Man March. I heard what you were saying. This is 30 years, man. This is either a whole generation or a generation and an extra 5 or 10 years added to it. We got work that we can look at that's been done that we can point to, starting with the fact that every school we go into, we got to inform the students what this is.
Come on.
They do not know that this even exists.
They wasn't born, man.
They wasn't born. Students that we work with now at Chicago State University, they were born in 2000, 2003, 2005. They do not, they're just learning about this.
Yeah, and even if they were born or whatever the case might be, that event, the Million Man March, has been intentionally weeded out of history. They make sure that the greatest gathering of black men that ever existed that we know of, they know nothing about it. You couldn't tell it's a 20-year-old walking around that don't know about that. And what you were saying about the disconnect, a lot of the disconnect comes from the fact that a lot of us who are doing that kind of work, we're not even aware of each other.
Right.
We have to somehow have a network that brings the attention to I didn't know there was some brothers doing that in Alabama. I didn't know they were doing that in Portland, and what every individual and every group that's putting in this kind of work are made aware of each other.
Yes, sir.
And if that happens, now it doesn't look so hopeless, like,
yes, sir.
And then because we out here like mercenaries and renegades, just you getting your little action in,
yes,
I'm getting
sir.
Come together and no question, man.
That's it. That's what's going on. It's the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
It looks daunting because it's kind of like that analogy you used before in terms of instead of somebody moving out, before another person moves in, it's like we move on top of people. And they and the house is just jacked up.
Yeah,
you know what
man.
I mean? And that can be very daunting because you're looking like, damn, why couldn't they clean up before they left? Why I gotta now clean out a dirty refrigerator and you get all this leftover stuff that they didn't want in the closet.
In the garage.
And so now you're taking a whole household and putting it on top of a household.
Yeah.
And so it's like we never get a chance to just breathe and say, okay, we starting afresh, we starting new.
Mm-hmm.
So now we got to deal in a deficit.
Right.
What we got to do is now find a way to take that mindset and say, you know what? We're going to repurpose. We got to now look at it a little bit differently, not just because of semantics or language, but because of the reality that, look here, you know what? We didn't get an inheritance like Trump did.
Yeah.
We didn't get $1 million to play around with to see how we gonna, do for self. Because to say I'm gonna do for self and I get $1 million advance to play around with, that's a heck of a start. We ain't starting off like that.
Right.
We starting off with a need. I got in the book.
Daddy left me a watch.
Yeah. And in the book, the character here, Daryl, he has a need. His girlfriend's mama said, you got to come up with $350 for this abortion.
Right.
So ain't no inheritance for him. He thinking about how to take a 16th and flip it to a quarter off.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? He over here thinking some thoughts now, like, get his money up.
Right.
So now we have to flip our thinking and say, you know what? Yeah, it is daunting, but guess what? There's a treasure in here. But now I got to do a little triage where I got to separate things. I got to get some friends to help, but now we got to decipher what's garbage, throw that out.
Right.
What can we give to maybe a homeless shelter or give away, you know what I mean? Because other people can use this.
Right.
And then now what's valuable for us that we don't have, let's keep that.
Right.
So then now we can do something with this. And now let's bring our stuff in.
Okay.
Right.
We may have to put our stuff in storage for a minute.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And see, a lot of us, our egos won't allow for us to do that. Because if I got 30 years of experience and this other person got 3 years of experience.
But he getting it in.
Yeah.
The 3 years experience getting in, the 30 you're like, man, I've been doing that. Yeah, you hit it.
And it becomes a clash.
Come on, man.
And unfortunately, the 3-year person may not recognize, hey, you know what? I'm doing what I'm doing and it's good. But damn, I'm coming up short on this, that, the other. They got it sitting in the closet.
I need to draw from, yeah.
And then the person with the 30 years, man, they've been beat up. They tired. But this one got the energy. It's like, well, look here. Let's collaborate.
Sound like the new generation, old generation of rappers around us. Right.
Yeah. But if we came together and say, hey, let's take a little bit of the old, a little bit of the new, put it together, man, we're about to explode.
Unstoppable.
But, and I hate to
go ahead.
But that part right there, it's almost like, because this is a redundant conversation sometimes. We say, oh, we need to come together. We need to come together. We say that so much. But I think a lot of times personality, just the right type of spirit does it automatically. It's not even a thought.
Yeah.
Like we having this conversation right now. We can bounce off each other all day because we got this spirit that is alike.
Correct.
And then from there, now it's a mindset of what it is that we think is important, and then we begin to expound on that and build on that. And you know, and so it makes everything easy. And I think a lot of times we just don't mind that there's another side to that. Meaning there's another party, another person with a job to do just the opposite.
Yeah.
And so if we keep that in mind, then we know how better to navigate. You don't do it all out loud all the time.
Right.
Why? Because if everybody know what the hell you doing, then you know what I mean? The lights on for everything you doing.
Yeah.
So no. And then you don't think it's gonna be some adversity, you know, so you gotta know how to navigate.
Right.
And you know, and bring those like minds so that some work can get done.
No question.
30 years of getting your ass clapped and kicked back and held up and all that because you working too loud.
You know, what you just said is the difference between relations and a relationship.
Okay. Come on, expound on that.
Yeah. Because when you said that, what came to mind was the fact that when you have a ship, and you got a captain and a navigator, that means you have an intention to travel from one place to the next. But if you just having relations,
wherever you go.
Yeah, you ain't trying to go nowhere.
So you're not a pimp by blood, but
right.
So you just having relations. You ain't trying to travel nowhere. You're not trying to go nowhere. You're not trying to deal with the storms that are necessary that even qualifies you to say you a captain or a seaman.
Correct.
You're just trying to navigate some semen here and there. You ain't trying to be a you just trying to, you know, you're trying to share it.
Right.
And so the whole idea of push and pull, you get what I'm saying? To be able to understand that balance or those dualities, that's a science. And unfortunately, many of us have never been introduced to real science. We think of science only from the academic of, you know, biology, chemistry, but from a social scientific and a spiritually scientific place, science is the acknowledgement of mistakes and it's the correction of errors. And so when you truly do science, you begin to navigate in such a way where you're able to say, look here, we can't get together and connect the dots with each other because we refuse to acknowledge our mistakes and correct our errors. We're too busy trying to point the finger and trying to put shame and guilt on each other.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this, one thing I was blessed to learn is that when you look at the word conflict and the principle of conflict, when you break conflicts down, conflicts are really the reality, it's a phenomenon where two or more assumptions collide. And when they collide, they produce what we call a conflict. But they wouldn't be in existence if we didn't make assumptions. So if we ask questions and get answers, then we can do work together.
Right.
But if we refuse to do that because we're comfortable with our assumptions about one another,
no clarity ever comes.
We'll clarify a damn thing.
No resolution.
I'm just gonna assume this about you.
Right.
Why? Because it's comfortable. It's my ego, and I got this thought about you. I got this feeling about you. Well, what evidence do you have? I have none.
Yeah. Right.
What informed you? And none informed me. I just feel a certain kind of way.
I had a dream last night.
Yeah. You know, but it's like, but no, if you really want to do work with a person, work is force time distance.
Yeah.
Everybody, real quick, your listening audience, check this out. Take your left hand, put on your right. Try this for a second. All right, rub it a little bit. A little bit faster. A little bit faster. A little bit faster. What do you feel?
That heat.
Heat.
Yeah.
That's that friction, right? So when we work together, it's bound to be some friction.
Yeah.
Well, when you work together in terms of human settings, well, the friction produces what's called anxiety, pain, injury, miscommunication, misunderstandings. That is bound to happen when you work together.
Right.
Because work is force times distance.
Force.
So the way we resolve that is we say, well, look, let's have a dialogue with each other. Because if I made a mistake or error, please let me know about it. Because if I point out the wrong in myself in a conflict, that means I can take my wrong off the table. Because I'm acknowledging it.
Right.
And if we both do that, then it should be no more
talking about it.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Not that. But I acknowledge mine.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So that means that there's no more hiding going on. There's no more. See, when we can give a alibi for something, or we can rationalize something, you get what I'm saying? Those are the things that make it where we can't ever come together.
Yeah.
Because my rationalizing, my giving an alibi for it, it makes it where we still gonna have.
I'm not being accountable. Yeah, I won't be accountable for mine. Yeah.
How does? Well, we just gonna have to agree to disagree. How does that play into that?
Okay, so you know how we have developed over the last probably 30, 40 years this saying that you got your truth and I got my truth?
Right.
BS.
Come on, bro.
BS. What we're really saying, the real word is, I have my perspective or opinion, right? If we put all our perspectives and opinions together, perhaps we can come up with the truth, because we can discern by what we all say. It's similar to that analogy of if we always are driving together and we got into a car accident. All of us are going to have our perspective on what, or our version of what took place. Because one of us could be on our phone, some of us could be asleep, the one person driving, other person looking this way. And so when the accident takes place, we all can communicate our truth, quote unquote, but it's our perspective. It's based upon the quality and condition of our being at that time. So a person on the outside of the vehicle who saw the whole thing, they're going to tell you everything. Because they were watching it. If they were watching it, they didn't know that an accident was about to happen. So they just saw the whole thing. Now, depending upon if they were sleeping or if they were distracted, if they drank a fifth of Hennessy or something, you know what I mean? They would give a version based upon their statement. But you have to put all of those factors together, all those perspectives together to get the real truth. And the problem is that, again, I got the truth, nobody else got it. It's similar to people saying stuff like, there's nothing else important in the world but what's going on is me. Everything else don't matter. But why would you say that? So when we get out of our way with the ego tripping, we can say, hey, y'all, look, let's come together. Tell me what you think, man. You was part of this, right? What's your perspective on it? And if we hear each other, then we can say, you know what, y'all? Based upon what everybody has said, what's your thoughts now? Then we could get the truth. So when it goes to your question regarding families, the children got to speak. Let them children say what they think and feel.
Because they see
things and they don't have a voice a lot of times. Let them speak on what happened with them. They saw mommy and daddy argue. How does that affect you? You know, you saw mommy do this. How does that affect you? You know what I'm saying? What did you do? You know, yeah, mom, y'all don't know. I started vaping. You know, y'all smelled marijuana one day and that was me doing it. You know, I was cutting on myself, you know what I mean? And, you know, y'all didn't know until after it started healing, I was using razor blades to self-mutilate myself, you know. You know, I thought about tricking, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, you know what I mean? You begin to find out stuff because they don't know how to deal with all this confusion and chaos. So they deal with it the way they deal with it. You know what I'm saying?
I took to the streets. I went out stealing. I went out robbing, whatever, whatever it is.
Start using.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to deal with some pain and I don't know how to deal with it. So I'm going to find a painkiller. You know what I mean? And then it's the same thing with the man and the woman. It's like, look, baby, you didn't know this, but you know, I was feeling some kind of way because I wasn't able to do this. I wasn't meeting my own expectations. And I'm feeling frustrated as hell, so I started doing this. You know what I mean? I gained all this weight because I was trying to eat my problems away. You know what I'm saying? So all these things begin to matter, but if we don't never talk about it, then we got to wait for a crisis to happen for then us to come together.
Everything that hit the table, hit the fan. Well, we're going to get you out of here on this one, but I want to talk about the males, the men's seminar.
Yes, sir.
Can you break that down to us? When is it? And what can we expect?
Well, I'm going to go out here on a limb. I want to expect for you all to be in Chicago on October 16th. Okay. You all got an official invitation.
Okay.
Because I truly appreciate y'all's spirit. And so I don't want y'all to come just to be watching now. Yeah. Y'all got to come and do y'all show.
Well, inshallah, if I am able to make it, I'll go. I want to be a part of it. Yeah.
I want y'all to come and do y'all show because
we got portable mics.
Yes, sir. Because one thing that we know we need to have our voice to represent what we do. And I don't care what other media is present, we need to have the media that supports us. You know, before it gets on CNN and before so-and-so hear about it, we need to have our people to do, to put it out there. But this is the 3rd annual Males to Men seminar. The first one we did ironically around the corner, so to speak, from O Block. O Block to me is Parkway Gardens. I grew up at a time where I lived right across the street from O Block, and my elementary school, John Foster Dulles, is right next to O Block. But for us, it was Parkway Gardens. It was rough then. So we were maybe about 6-7 blocks away from what they call O Block now. But there's a restaurant called Let's Eat to Live Restaurant that's 621 East 67th Street. And right next to it is Salam Community Wellness Center. So we got in partnership with them. Shout out to Brother Akbar, brother, some people know him as Kurt. But he allowed for us to use the whole area and the spaces to do our first Males to Men Empowerment Seminar. And so we had 114 youth that came. We had brothers from the mosque, the Masons, the Christians, brothers from the block. They all came and got together, and we delivered many workshops with these brothers. I'm talking about blockchain technology. We had the brothers who from Tuskegee Airmen. They came and taught them how to fly drones. We had brothers who was able to teach them how to manage their anxiety and their stress, taught them what they call heart-focused breathing. We had boxing. We had all kind of little mini workshops they were able to be engaged in. We had a elder that he's a master gardener. So we taught him about urban gardening and how to grow their own food. And then the brothers, we took that spirit of the Million Man March, and I told the brothers we have to demonstrate it. So from the time the brothers got off the bus, we call this the Hip Hop Detox handshake. This is the handshake, right? Salute. So we do it like this. So it's twice because when we
pretty good, man.
Oh yeah.
How you doing?
You got it.
Ooh, y'all saw it.
And so we do the handshake with them. So basically, imagine a gauntlet of brothers. From the time they got off the bus, they went through 60 brothers.
Man, they hit
all doing the handshake. So it was to demonstrate, look, man, we respect you. We thank you for being here. And they felt the energy of the Million Man March in present time.
Wow.
So they ain't have to talk about what was. They was experiencing what is.
Right.
And so from the first time we did it, that was in 2023, we said, look, every year we got to do it on October 16th. We ain't going to wait for no Saturday. We want to do it on the day of.
Whatever day that falls.
Yeah, whatever day it falls. If it's a weekday weekend, no school, no work, no play is the word we got on Monday, October 16th of 1995. So we want to keep that spirit going.
Right.
And so we did it last year in partnership with Chicago State University. They gave us the library because we had 240 youth. We needed a bigger space.
Yeah.
So we brought them in. Same thing, boxing, martial arts. We did the whole thing, right? And so this year we said, well, we're going to do 1,000 plus.
Wow.
So we said we need the arena. The arena seats 5,000 people, right? So we said we're going to do a seminar with 1,000 plus youth, and we need 300 men. Because the theme is to rise up to do this, but then we got to follow up and follow through so that every young brother who come and every man that come, we find a pathway so that for a whole year, we go into their schools. We finding ways to engage with them, engage with the parents, engage with the professionals at that school. So that way it's a real impact. So if you're going to bring, like we got boxers, we got martial artists, we got yoga, comedic yoga instructors that's coming, and they're going to do the whole thing with them that day. And then the goal is to follow up. So for people who want to come, be part of it, we want you to come knowing that that's only part one. From 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock is the seminar, but then from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock is Hip Hop Detox Live. We're doing a benefit event because I don't care what Trump is doing in the White House. I don't care what the mayor, the governor does, or what they don't do. We have to raise our money.
Yeah.
We have to make it where we're not dependent upon corporations or politicians. They should help. Now, don't get me wrong. If they allocate funds to help us, we can take the money. Cool.
Right.
But we can't wait for them.
Right.
We know from what we've experienced, we need over $1 million to make it happen for a whole year. Because we don't want these people doing 10, 15, 20 weeks of anything, and we can't help them to feed their family.
Yeah.
So we need to help these Tuskegee Airmen. We want to help the yoga instructors. We need the boxing instructors getting trained. The people dealing with AI and blockchain technology. We want to be able to help them too.
Yeah.
So we don't want it to be where we don't have the funding necessary. So for those who say they want to help, look, you can go to www.hiphopdetox.org. That's hiphopdetox.org. And it's a donate button. There's about 2 or 3 of them on the front page. You can donate 500, 5,000. If you want to say, hey, I want to donate money to feed them. Well, if you want to feed 250 young people, Let's Eat to Live restaurant, pay them, and that'll go to feed 250. If you want to help with the sound system, we working with Mr. Ernie Green. We try to work with as many Black-owned businesses as possible. Ernie Green of Sound Authority. Tell him, man, I'm going to put half on it. How much does it cost for a sound system for that day? Put half on it. You ain't got to give us the money directly because we want to just get the job done. We want Ali Sadiq to come.
Yeah.
Okay.
I told his manager, Joe, he said Ali is out of town, out of the country, whatever. So he'll be back, I think, next week or something. Ali, I heard, wants to be there for October 16th. I found out today that he might have a gig in Louisville, Kentucky on the 17th. And I think his birthday is around that time too.
Yeah.
I tell anybody, I love that brother. I met him, was it last year, 2 years ago, and we had a chance to talk in Chicago. He didn't know about my relationship with this brother, but I mentioned him when I met him because I said, I think you was working at a clothing store.
Oh yeah,
And he's coming to, and I told him about it. And I said, look here, man, we gonna get you to come on through because his story about what happened to him during the Million Man March, I think it's a perfect story, but I think he would be perfect to be part of the benefit with the Hip Hop Detox Live because we could put him in a skit.
Yeah.
And that's what my goal is, to take what we do, and this is going to be an intergenerational thing. We're going to ask for all ages to come to this because the young and the old and middle age, they need to be able to witness this, to see this, to experience this, to bring us together. So we're going to have, as of right now, GLC, who was, he was working with Kanye when he first came out. He's already committed to be part of this, and he's working with Larry Hoover Jr. So Larry Hoover Jr., I expect for him to be part of it. Lil Durk's dad, Brother Banks, he's going to be part of it. I don't know if Lil Durk will be released from prison in October or not, but, we send love to him because I know he's fighting a case, and he didn't get that kind of heat until he began making his change.
I saw that.
And that's when his heat happened. It came up on him because he started making change.
That's right.
So I tell everybody, look, we want your support in whatever way you can give that's on a positive level. If you want to be one of the 300 men that help these young brothers out for an entire year, please, hey, let's do that. If you want to help them get this book, because this book is something that we want to put in their gift bags, their swag bags, whatever, because they all should have a copy of this book. So then when we come back to their school, we're dealing with all the different themes and issues.
Right.
We have a brother in Dallas, Texas, named Robert Petrie. He has something called, I might have a copy of it. It's called the Life Guide for America map. He designed this.
I remember that, brother.
We did the Steve Harvey camp for like 4 years in a row. We went to Blue Ivy, Texas. He had me to present and speak at his ranch for 4 years. And I had Brother Petrie to come and have his map out there because this map is like a guide map to show you in America how we get set up. So at the bottom of the map, you have choices and options and alternatives. But then if you turn up on the wrong street, self-destruction way, gang street, drug boulevard, you end up in the penitentiary. And all the so-called bogus benefits of being in the pen. You get to protect your manhood at all times. You can put money on the books. No stealing. What is it? Humans locked in cages, all these so-called benefits being locked up. And then it shows you on the other side a productive life, how you have investments and Prodigy and all that. Well, each young brother needs to get a real map. This is a shortened version of the map. That was really this big.
Yeah, because I remember.
It's much long. It's much bigger. But the map shows you how to navigate towards positive drive, family way. So when you look at the map, it shows you also that human beings are on the green side of the map. They outside having fun. They praying together. They playing basketball. Ain't nobody outside on the brown side.
Wow.
You know what I mean? They're afraid of getting shot. You know what I mean? They're afraid of getting killed. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
So,
7 million incarcerated. Yeah.
The brown side is like the dead side.
It's like the dead side, you know? So, so it's like, we have these opportunities, and 30 years, man, have gone by, and I think we should have learned as many lessons as possible to show why this is a time where we can come together and do something that's way beyond just the day of. October 16th is a launch pad.
Right.
So now we got to get over the gang banging and the egos. Those who watch this know whether we live or die, our people gonna live. Whether we live individually or die, our people gonna live. The question becomes, what quality of life our children, our babies gonna have? This brother right here, the editor of the Final Call newspaper, he passed a few weeks ago, Brother Enoch Muhammad, and he was helping me out with this initiative. And he would have been with us to this very moment if he'd have survived, right? He was battling prostate cancer.
Yeah.
But this brother right here, in his honor and in his memory, I said, we gonna do this. You know what I mean? Regardless of hell or high water, we gonna find a way to make this happen so that all of our ancestors, their families would know that their lives weren't in vain. They didn't sacrifice for nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's brothers and sisters who know that we stand on their shoulders.
That's right.
So, and if the Honorable Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan, if he sees this, no. I sent communication to everybody months ago, let it be known what our intention was. So it was never a thing where I didn't want you to know what we were doing because we sent invitations and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do want you to know is this. I know our open enemy and our adversary, as the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, he said the house was honeycombed with agents and hypocrites.
Right.
And so I know that we got that all in our amongst our people, whether they're inside the house or outside the house. But I say this, that you have brothers on this video. These brothers, they have a spirit that's very real and sincere. And we're going to overcome all obstacles, not just leading up to October 16th, but through October 16th and beyond. And I personally believe, I told brother, my cousin, he was like, man, you gonna eat something with me today? I said, no, brother, I eat after I do my work.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I'm not eating nothing today. I'll eat tomorrow. Y'all find me a good restaurant. I like fish. I like salmon. You know what I mean? I still eat fish, but I'll eat a good, meal tomorrow. But I said, no, I'm not eating.
Right.
I said, I'm fasting because we have to accelerate our thinking and let our spirit, as they say, oscillate to a different level.
Come on.
So then the brothers that we talk to and the sisters that we talk to know that there are human beings on this planet that's willing to go to those lengths to liberate ourselves from this, not only this tyranny and this oppression, but this poison. Because the poison is pervasive. And let me close and end on this. In the book Poison, there's a part that defines poison in such a way that it connects to the supreme wisdom that those who are in the Nation of Islam and the gods on earth you connect with. But the regular person who don't know any of that, they connect with this also. When you look up the word poison, there's a noun and a verb definition of poison. Poison is defined as a deadly potion or substance. But it doesn't stop there. That deadly potion or substance is also spiritually corrupting ideas with evil intentions.
Right.
So that's the thing, poison. But the verb poison is what gives you the action that someone is giving this poison to you, and they can add it to that which is not poison. And they can use it to kill you, and they also can give it to you as a drink or to eat. So if you have somebody that will poison the food,
man,
what makes you think they're not going to poison the education
Come
system?
on, man.
They're not going to poison entertainment.
Come on.
They're not going to poison politics or religion. They're going to poison everything. So the last part is the book. In the book, it reads, "Why poison?" Poison is everywhere. It surrounds us in the air, in the water, in the food. Poison is transmitted through the pen, the paint, the electronic devices, the sound and airwaves. Poison moves through words spoken and unspoken, in text, in audio, in poetry, in storytelling, in speech, in hand movements, in facial expressions. Poison is loud, is soft, is hard, is attractive, is appealing in rhythmic patterns laced on top and within a beat. Poison in our habits, in our clothes, in what we wear, how we wear it, when we wear it, why we wear it, in our use of time and space, and why we do what we do. Poison engulfs the 8 billion inhabitants upon the earth. Poison blinds. It energizes till it numbs you. It enlivens you till it chokes you. It frees you till it enslaves you. It holds your attention, then leaves you empty. Poison is excess. Poison is abuse. Poison is addiction. Poison is injustice.
Man.
This is the motivation for why we do Hip Hop Detox.
Man.
Since poison is everywhere, it's our job, like you said, to put the antidote everywhere.
Come on.
And we all have part to play in providing the antidote.
Man, beautiful, 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 bro. Well, we thank you so much, man, because you might not have ate today, but we just got fed. we full around this bad boy, man. So continue success, man. May Allah continue to bless your success, man, to continue to keep doing this work that we need, and that he would answer your prayer to bring all types of people that's needed to make this success for our people, man. So thank you for coming through. If there's any social media you got that you want to direct people to, feel free.
Well, we have on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, we are HIPHOPDETOXX, Hip Hop Detox. That's the name of the organization. My name is Enoch Muhammad, so I'm on Facebook as such. And, you know, I would also say this, you know, every influencer, every person who has a podcast, if you can find some way to get somebody, it only have to be me, get somebody on your show to represent and reflect on the 30-year anniversary of the Million Man March. Get somebody on your show to talk about what it meant to them, the impact of it. Because if we don't talk about it, mainstream media not going to talk about it. If they do talk about it, it will be perverted. It will be skewed. And the reality is, when it took Colonel, what is his name, Powell?
Colin Powell. Yeah.
It took him, along with a few others, to submit to the minister that the Navy satellite beamed down at the height of the march, and they said it was between 1.2 and 1.8 million black men on the mall that day. But it took for that, and of course the media never picked that up, even though it came from somebody on that level. But you know, it was different people who communicated that was just a strategy of diversion, because if they could divert you from the real meaning of the Million Man March, which in a nutshell, allow God to have mercy and grace on you and us as a people, so that we could be saved from the destruction that's coming. Because we see it coming. What happened in Texas was horrible. 27 feet of water just pop up, and you have a foot of rainwater that has come down that quick.
In minutes.
And you see it in Jersey, you know what I mean? You seeing all these things happening, and it's accelerating. You know, so we're seeing the end, not of the physical planet, but of a system. The system that it has to come down. Something better is about to replace it. But if you so wrapped up with your mindset, or your lack of a mindset, where you don't have the critical thinking and the conscious listening necessary to make better choices, or at least listen to some people that can help you out of your darkness, then that means that we're going to have family members that's going to get caught up in the flood. Because they're going to be so busy twerking, so busy vaping, so busy talking about who they op is and who they going to shoot, that when the flood comes, what's your switch going to do then? What your adapter going to do then? Because you didn't think that pledge that was given in 95 was salvation. But it really was salvation. Take that pledge and apply it to your life. As my brother Gat Turner in Milwaukee did, he turned it into a code of conduct for the streets. So he went 20 blocks, 20 hoods, and he told them, this is the code for the streets. Yeah. But the code that he gave was the pledge of the Million Man March. Beautiful. And that's the same thing we do to the youth. We tell them that's our self-improvement leadership pledge. Man. Take that pledge and fight to live it, and it'll improve all of our people, and it'll improve our families and our communities.
Man, ladies and gentlemen, our brother, Enoch Muhammad, man, along with Muhammad 2G in the building, man. Well, it's your big brother K Reno.
It's your boy Keystone.
Man, it's the Underground Dialogue Podcast. We are out. Man. Oh,
it's your big brother K Reno. Look, man, the Underground Dialogue website is back in function. We back in motion, man. If y'all want Underground Dialogue Podcast merch, whatever you need, go to undergrounddialogue.com and check us out. And always make sure that every Wednesday night, y'all are checking out the Underground Dialogue Podcast right on YouTube, 9 p.m. Central Time. Yeah! What's up, man? It's your big brother K Reno, and check this out, man. The Underground Dialogue Podcast is offering advertising opportunities, man. You can promote your business, you can promote your video, your song, whatever it is that you have, man. Reach out to us if you're interested in promoting on the Underground Dialogue Podcast. All you got to do is email us at undergrounddialoguepodcast@gmail.com. Get it. What up, man? It's your big brother K Reno. I'm proud to announce that I'm a new brand ambassador to this new brand of clothing and shoes called Volage. Y'all make sure that y'all support this. It's already available. Houston-based company, straight out the A. Look at the quality of the packaging itself. We ain't even got to the shoes yet, man. And this is just one pair of shoes, one design. They got all kinds of dope designs of shoes that you guys can choose from. Go to volage.biz and find your order, find what you want. Wide selection to choose from, male and female items, and I'm proud to be a part of it, man. Community workers, versatile products, Volage, manufactured in Italy. Look at the quality of this box, man. Y'all don't know what it is, man. Catch y'all later on.